I found out my wife was cheating when her affair partner's wife sent me a video of them together. But that's not even the craziest part of this story. What happened next made local news and changed 6 people's lives forever. If you're into honest stories about relationships, trust, and betrayal, hit that follow button. You won't want to miss the next one. Let me back up to where this really started. 6 months ago, on a Tuesday morning that seemed completely ordinary, my wife Jennifer kissed me goodbye, told me she loved me, and headed off to her new job at a tech startup downtown. She'd been working there for about 4 months, and honestly, I was proud of her. After being a stay-at-home mom for 5 years while our daughter was young, she was building a career again. But I should have noticed the signs earlier. Way earlier, it started small. Jennifer began going to the gym at 5:30 a.m., something she'd never done in our 10 years of marriage. The woman who used to hit snooze 4 times was suddenly bouncing out of bed before dawn. When I asked about this newfound dedication, she said her new coworker, Marcus, had inspired the whole office to get fit. Marcus. I'd hear that name a lot over the next few months. Marcus suggested this great protein powder. Marcus says morning workouts boost productivity. Marcus and I are training for a 10K together. I actually encouraged it. Yeah, you read that right. I was the idiot husband telling my wife how great it was that she had such a supportive work friend. I even suggested she invite Marcus and his wife over for dinner sometime. Oh, his wife's really busy with her own stuff, Jennifer said quickly. Maybe someday. That should have been red flag number 1, but I was blind, stupid, trusting. The second sign was her phone. Jennifer had always been casual about her phone, leaving it lying around, letting our daughter play games on it. Suddenly it was glued to her hand. Password changed, face down on every surface. When I asked about it, she said the company required enhanced security protocols for work devices. Reasonable explanation, right? Wrong. Then came the business trips. 3 in 2 months, each one to cities where her company didn't even have offices. When I mentioned this seemed odd for a marketing coordinator position, she got defensive. You don't understand corporate structure, she snapped. It's client-facing work. The woman who used to share every detail of her day now acted like her job was classified government work. But here's where it gets interesting. I wasn't some passive husband sitting at home wondering what was happening. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. On her 3rd business trip to Austin, I did something I'm not proud of. I checked our credit card statements. There was a charge for 2 tickets to a concert, 2 dinners at romantic restaurants, a couple's spa package. My wife was taking business trips with someone, and that someone sure as hell wasn't conducting business. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I wanted to know exactly what I was dealing with. So I made a decision that would change everything. I hired a private investigator, best $3,000 I ever spent. The investigator's name was Diana, a no-nonsense former cop who'd seen every kind of cheating scenario imaginable. Give me 2 weeks, she said. I'll give you the truth. She delivered in 1. The photos came first. Jennifer and Marcus leaving the gym together, not in workout clothes but in business casual, getting into the same car. Marcus's hand on the small of her back. Them entering his apartment building at 7 a.m. and not emerging until 9 a.m. The timeline was damning. They weren't working out. They were working on destroying 2 marriages. But Diana didn't stop there. She found out Marcus was married to a woman named Victoria, a pediatric surgeon who worked brutal hours at the hospital. They had twin boys, 6 years old. Marcus was a senior manager at the same startup where Jennifer worked, and according to Diana's sources inside the company, their relationship was an open secret in the office. Everyone knew, except Victoria and me. There's more, Diana said during our second meeting. I followed them to a hotel last Thursday. They stayed for 3 hours during lunch. I've got timestamps, photos, everything you need. I stared at the evidence spread across her desk. My wife's betrayal documented in high-resolution color. What do I do with this? I asked. Diana leaned back in her chair. That depends. Do you want revenge, closure, or just the truth? I want justice, I said. For me and for Marcus's wife. That's when Diana smiled. Then I have an idea, but you'll need to be patient. And you'll need to trust me. Here's what we did next. Diana reached out to Victoria through a mutual contact at the hospital. No details, just a message. I have information about your husband that you need to see. Can we meet? Victoria agreed immediately. Apparently, she'd been having suspicions of her own. We met at a coffee shop on a Saturday morning. Victoria was younger than I expected, probably early 30s, with tired eyes that suggested too many overnight shifts and not enough sleep. When Diana showed her the evidence, her hands started shaking so badly she had to set down her coffee cup. How long? She whispered. At least 4 months, Diana said. Probably longer. Victoria looked at me, really looked at me for the first time. Your wife is Jennifer? I nodded. She sent my husband a birthday card last month, Victoria said, her voice hollow. It was sitting on our kitchen counter. She signed it, can't wait to celebrate properly. I thought it was from someone at the office. I thought it was sweet that his coworkers cared. The irony was devastating. We sat there for 2 hours comparing notes, sharing screenshots, building a timeline of betrayal. Turns out Marcus had told Victoria he was training for a marathon, hence all the early mornings. Jennifer told me she was doing sunrise yoga classes. They'd crafted their lies to mirror each other's schedules perfectly. What are you going to do? I asked Victoria. She stared at the photos on the table. I'm going to make sure he regrets ever taking me for granted. I'm in, I said. Whatever the plan is, I'm in. That's when Victoria told me something that changed everything. Marcus is up for a major promotion, she said. VP of Marketing. The announcement is in 3 weeks. It would triple his salary. He's been bragging about it for months. I saw where she was going. And if corporate finds out he's having an affair with a subordinate, he loses everything, Victoria finished. His promotion, possibly his job, definitely his reputation. Diana was grinning now. I like where this is going. We spent the next week preparing. Diana gathered more evidence. Videos, timestamps, hotel receipts, everything documented and timestamped. Victoria got copies of Marcus's company handbook, highlighting the sections about workplace relationships and ethics violations. I played the supportive husband at home, pretending everything was fine. Jennifer continued her morning workouts and evening networking events. She was getting bolder, staying out later, caring less about her cover stories. One night she came home at 11 p.m. smelling like cologne that definitely wasn't mine. Late client dinner, she said, barely looking at me. How was it? I asked, testing her. Productive. We landed the account. I checked her company's social media the next day. No new accounts. No client dinners announced. Just another lie in an ever-growing collection. The breaking point came 2 weeks after my meeting with Victoria. Jennifer announced she needed to go on another business trip, this time to Miami for a conference. I'll be gone for 4 days, she said, already packing clothes that were more suitable for a romantic getaway than corporate events. Sounds important, I said. It is. Marcus is giving a presentation, and I'm supporting the team. Marcus, of course. I waited until she was in the shower, then I checked her luggage. Lingerie I'd never seen before. A new dress with the tags still on. Expensive perfume. Everything you'd pack for a romantic getaway. Nothing you'd need for a conference. I took photos of everything. That night I called Victoria. They're going to Miami together, 4 days. Perfect, she said. That gives us time to execute the plan. Here's what we did. While Jennifer and Marcus were in Miami, pretending to be at a conference that didn't exist, Victoria and I went to their company's HR department. We brought Diana, who presented herself as a professional investigator hired by concerned parties. We showed them everything. The photos, the videos, the hotel receipts, the timeline of their affair. We showed them how Marcus had been using company resources to facilitate the relationship, how he'd been expensing dinners with Jennifer as client meetings, how they'd been using company time for personal activities. The HR director, a woman named Patricia, went pale as she reviewed the evidence. This is a serious ethics violation, she said. Marcus is in a position of authority over Jennifer. This creates liability issues for the company. That's why we're here, Victoria said calmly. We want this addressed before it becomes a legal problem. Patricia nodded slowly. I'll need to escalate this to our CEO and legal team immediately. We understand, I said. We just want the truth to come out. 2 days into their Miami trip, Marcus's phone started blowing up with calls from corporate. He ignored the first few, probably thinking it could wait until he got back. But by the third call, marked urgent CEO, he had to answer. I know this because Jennifer called me in a panic that evening. Something happened at work, she said, her voice shaking. Marcus has to fly back early. Some emergency. That's too bad, I said, my voice steady. Will you come home early too? No, I'll stay and finish the conference. Right, the conference. She must have heard something in my tone because she got quiet. Is everything okay? Everything's fine, I lied. Have a good rest of your trip. Marcus flew back to face a corporate investigation. By the time he landed, his promotion was officially canceled. By the time he got home, Victoria had already moved out with the twins and filed for divorce. And Jennifer? She stayed in Miami, completely unaware that her world was about to implode. She came home 3 days later, tanned and relaxed, still living in her fantasy bubble. I was waiting in the kitchen with divorce papers and a laptop full of evidence. We need to talk, I said as she walked through the door. About what? I turned the laptop screen toward her. Photos of her and Marcus, leaving hotels, entering his apartment, kissing in parking garages. She dropped her suitcase. How did you get these? A private investigator, the same one who provided this evidence to your company's HR department, your husband's wife, and my divorce attorney. Her face went from tan to ghostly white. You told the company. Actually, Victoria told the company. Marcus's wife. You remember her, the woman whose husband you've been sleeping with for months? Jennifer sank into a chair, her hands shaking. I can explain. Don't. I held up my hand. I don't want your explanations. I don't want your excuses. I want you to sign these divorce papers and get out of my house. Our house, she corrected automatically. No, my house. You'll see in the papers that I'm buying out your share. You'll have 30 days to move out. Tears started falling down her face. Real ones this time, not the manipulative kind she'd been using for months. I never meant to hurt you. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. You absolutely meant to hurt me. Every lie, every late night, every time you came home smelling like him. Those were choices, conscious, deliberate choices. What about Emma? She asked, bringing up our daughter for the first time. You're going to take her from me? I'm not taking her from anyone. We'll have joint custody, but Emma will know the truth when she's old enough to understand it. She'll know that her mother chose a brief affair over her family's happiness. Jennifer's tears turned into sobs. Please, we can fix this. I'll quit my job. I'll never see Marcus again. We can go to counseling. Marcus got fired, I interrupted. Did you know that? The company terminated him yesterday for ethics violations. He used company funds to facilitate your affair. That's fraud. His career's over. Her face went even paler. Fired? And Victoria took the twins and the house, and she's going for full custody because Marcus's affair proves he's not a stable parent. So congratulations, Jennifer. You destroyed 2 families for a man who now has nothing. I stood up and grabbed my jacket. I'm staying at a hotel until you move out. My lawyer will be in touch about the custody arrangement. Sign the papers, Jennifer. There's nothing left to fight for. As I walked to the door, she called out one last time, I love you. I've always loved you. I turned back and looked at her. Really looked at her. This woman I'd spent 10 years building a life with. This stranger who'd betrayed everything we'd created. No, I said quietly. You loved the security I provided while you played out your fantasy. There's a difference. The next few weeks were brutal but necessary. Jennifer tried everything. Apologies, promises, showing up at my hotel, sending flowers to my office, enlisting her friends to plead her case. Nothing worked. Marcus reached out once, trying to apologize. I blocked his number without responding. What could he possibly say that would matter? The divorce was finalized in 3 months. Jennifer signed everything without fighting, probably because she knew the evidence against her was irrefutable. She moved into a small apartment across town and started working at a different company for half the salary. Victoria and I stayed in touch throughout our respective divorces. Not romantically, we were both too raw for that, but we became friends, bonded by our shared experience of betrayal and recovery. 6 months after everything exploded, Victoria and I met for coffee. She looked better, healthier, less exhausted. The divorce had been hard on her, but she was rebuilding. Marcus asked if he could see the boys this weekend, she said. Supervised visitation only. Will you let him? Eventually. They deserve to know their father, even if he's a terrible husband. She stirred her coffee thoughtfully. What about Jennifer? How's the custody arrangement working? Emma stays with me during the week. Jennifer gets weekends. It's working okay. Emma's in therapy, processing everything. And Jennifer? I shrugged. Last I heard, she's dating some guy she met online, moving fast into another relationship instead of dealing with her issues. Victoria shook her head. Some people never learn. What about you? I asked. Any dating prospects? She laughed. Are you kidding? I'm a single mom of twin 6-year-olds working 60-hour weeks. When would I have time to date? Fair point. We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Victoria said something that surprised me. You know what's crazy? I'm happier now than I was in my marriage. Even with all the complications and struggles, I feel more authentic, more myself. I understood exactly what she meant. Me too. I didn't realize how much energy I was spending trying to save something that was already dead. Do you regret how we handled it? She asked. Going to the company, making it public? I thought about that question carefully. No, they made a public mockery of our marriages. They involved co-workers, used company resources, lied to everyone around them. Making it public was just revealing what they'd already done. Victoria nodded. I agree. And honestly, Marcus needed to face real consequences. He thought he could have everything. The affair, the promotion, the perfect family image. He needed to learn that choices have costs. A year later, I ran into Jennifer at Emma's school play. We were polite, distant, two people who used to be married, but now were just co-parents navigating an awkward situation. After the play, while Emma was changing out of her costume, Jennifer approached me. Can we talk for a minute? I nodded, keeping my distance. I just wanted to say that I understand now what I threw away. Not just you, but the life we had, the stability, the partnership, the real love. I traded all of that for excitement that lasted about 2 months before reality set in. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Because I owe you the truth. The affair with Marcus wasn't about you not being enough. It was about me being selfish and stupid. You deserved better than what I gave you. I looked at this woman who used to be my whole world. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even satisfaction at her admission. Just nothing. I appreciate you saying that, I said, but it doesn't change anything. I know. I just needed you to know that I realized what I did. Emma came running out. Her face lit up with excitement about the play. Jennifer and I both smiled at our daughter, united for a moment in our love for her, even if we couldn't be united in anything else. As I drove Emma home that night, she asked me a question I'd been dreading. Daddy, why aren't you and Mommy together anymore? I'd rehearsed this conversation in therapy, but actually having it was different. Sometimes adults make choices that hurt the people they love, I said carefully. Your mom made some choices that meant we couldn't be married anymore. But we both still love you more than anything in the world. Did Mommy do something bad? She made some mistakes, but everyone makes mistakes. The important thing is that you have two parents who love you and will always be there for you. Emma was quiet for a moment. I wish we could all be together again. My heart broke a little. I know, sweetheart, but sometimes things can't go back to how they were. Sometimes we have to build new kinds of families. As for Marcus, I heard through mutual connections that he struggled to find work after being fired. The tech industry is small, and word got around about why he was terminated. He eventually moved to a different city for a fresh start. Victoria and I continued our friendship. About 18 months after our divorces were finalized, we started dating. It wasn't something either of us planned. It just happened naturally. We understood each other's pain, but more importantly, we understood each other's healing. 2 years after everything fell apart, Victoria and I got married in a small ceremony with just close friends and our kids. Emma and the twins got along great, creating a blended family that actually worked. Jennifer sent a card congratulating us. I appreciated the gesture, but threw it away. Some chapters need to stay closed. Standing at my wedding to Victoria, I realized something important. Jennifer's betrayal had been devastating, but it had also been liberating. It forced me to confront a marriage that had become comfortable, but not fulfilling. It pushed me to value myself enough to walk away from someone who didn't value me. And most importantly, it led me to someone who understood the value of honesty, commitment, and rebuilding after betrayal. My best man, my friend Mike, who'd helped me through the divorce, raised his glass during the reception. To second chances, he said, and to having the courage to demand the respect you deserve. To second chances, everyone echoed. But I added silently in my head, and to the strength to walk away when you're not getting it. Jennifer's betrayal taught me the most valuable lesson of my life. Love without respect is just attachment, and attachment without trust is just fear of being alone. I refused to live in fear anymore. I refused to accept less than I deserved. And in doing so, I found something better than I ever imagined possible. The affair that destroyed my first marriage led me to a second marriage built on a foundation of honesty, mutual respect, and shared understanding of what it means to truly value your partner. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you becomes the best thing that ever happened to you. You just have to be brave enough to let the broken pieces fall away so something new can grow. And that's exactly what I did. So that's my story. From betrayal to divorce to finding love again with someone who understood my pain because she'd lived through the same experience. It wasn't the ending I expected, but it was the ending I needed. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this, it's this. When someone shows you through their actions that they don't value you, believe them. Don't wait for more proof. Don't make excuses. Don't sacrifice your self-respect hoping they'll change. Value yourself enough to walk away. The pain is temporary. The regret of staying too long lasts forever. Jennifer wanted freedom to explore her desires. She got it. But freedom without wisdom just leads to more mistakes. I wanted respect and honesty in my relationship. I got it. It just wasn't with the person I originally thought it would be with. And Victoria? She wanted a partner who valued her as much as she valued them. She found it. As for Marcus, I have no idea what he wanted, but whatever it was, he definitely didn't get it. Our story ends where new stories begin, with hard-won wisdom, second chances, and the understanding that sometimes the person who breaks your heart is just clearing the path for someone who will treasure it. Thanks for following this journey. If it helped you in any way, or if you're going through something similar, know this. It gets better. Not immediately and not easily, but it does get better. You deserve someone who chooses you every single day. Don't settle for less. I almost did, and I would have missed out on the best chapter of my life. Stay strong, value yourself, and never ever accept betrayal as the price of love. That's where this story ends. But if you want to hear more stories about relationships, betrayal, recovery, and finding happiness after heartbreak, make sure you're following this channel. The next story might be even more intense than this one. See you in the next one.